This video is going to challenge you, and you're going to have to keep an open mind because there is something your clients want from you, and there is what you want to deliver to them. And right now, those two things are miles apart. And until we close that gap, you are always going to struggle to grow. This is a problem called a lack of product market fit. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact system I use to achieve it. This framework is what sits underneath every single creator and founder business that goes from invisible to inbound. Before you worry about systems, hiring, scaling, or raising capital, this comes first. The product market fit is really what makes everything else possible. Your favorite creators are out there, right? Talking about 7-figure exits and passive income, but nobody is actually talking about this step, and everything hinges on this step. Now, before I actually get into the framework, I want to zoom out and show you the full founder journey so you know exactly where product market fit sits inside it and why it matters so much. Entrepreneurship is a predictable set of stages. The first stage is what I call founder opportunity fit. This is the soul searching phase, right? You're figuring out what opportunity actually makes sense for you based on your story, your skills, and the market that you understand. The second stage is minimum viable concept testing. This is where you start putting ideas in front of people to see if there's genuine interest. You're not selling just yet. You're validating, does anyone actually care about this, right? Now, the third stage is product market fit. And this is what we're going deep on today. This is where you can identify your ideal client, the specific person who gets the most value from what you do. And you build an offer that they respond to with enthusiasm and not just mild interest. Now, after product market fit, you can crank the handle, right? You can make sales at scale. And after go to market, you scale new offers, new audiences, new channels. And after scale, if you want it, you exit. You sell the business for a life-changing number. And then you take a breath before the next one. I want to zoom all the way in on that product market fit phase and show you exactly what has to happen inside of it. The product market fit is when two things come together, and the first is your ideal client persona, the specific person who sees the most value in what you do, who needs it most, and who will get the best results from it. The second is your intellectual property packaged, as an offer. This is where you take everything your story, your frameworks, and your process, your results as well, and you can package it into something people can actually buy and experience. So here's the fundamental problem with product market fit and why actually most creators and founders never fully achieve it. Your clients have a movie playing in their head already. In that movie, everything changes. Their business finally starts working. Leads start coming in, and they stop feeling invisible. They stop chasing clients. They stop doing everything themselves. Their brand is known, their content is working, and their mornings feel different. That is the movie they are buying when they invest in help from someone like you. And then there is you, the founder. You also have a movie, and your movie is of a clean, scalable business that runs without chaos. You want to deliver a clear service through the great work and get paid fairly for it without over-promising or drowning in client demands. You want it to be simple, right? You want it to be repeatable. You do not want every client engagement to feel like it requires a miracle. And here's the very honest truth. There is a real gap between what your clients are dreaming about and what most service businesses are set up to deliver. That gap is exactly where product market fit breaks down. Our entire job is to close that gap. And when it closes, when what your client wants and what you actually deliver finally touches, that is product market fit. And at that moment, your client is elated they found you. They would be genuinely disappointed if you disappeared, and you, as the founder or creator, feel a healthy weight on your shoulders because you realize how much your clients actually need this, and you're figuring out how to deliver it consistently. That tension is really a good sign. It means it's real. Scalability comes later. In the early days, you do things that do not scale in order to prove that it works. That is not weakness. That is the process. So let me give you the actual framework for getting there, right? Step 1 is getting inside the mind of your ideal client. You do this through data, not assumptions, right? There are 3 ways I use to do this. The first is a waiting list campaign. This is where you tell a group of people that you are launching a new approach to solving a specific problem. And if they are interested in learning more, they can join the waiting list. The key is that when someone joins the waiting list, you ask them 5 questions. You ask them which best describes their current situation and give them a menu of options they can relate to. You ask them which best describes the outcome they are looking for in the next 90 days. You ask them which best describes the frustration or obstacle standing in their way. You ask them which best describes the type of solution they would most likely invest in. And finally, you ask an open box question. Is there anything else you want us to know? For a founder or creator audience, this might look like we are launching a new approach to helping founders build a personal brand that generates consistent inbound leads without posting every day and burning out if that is something you have been thinking about. Join the waiting list. That landing page right there tells you exactly who is interested, what they want, what is stopping them, and what they are willing to pay. That is absolute gold. And before you build anything, the second approach is a product market fit survey. This is perfect if you already have clients. You send them one critical question. How would you feel if you no longer had access to what we do for you? The answer options are very disappointed, somewhat disappointed, or I would be fine. The group that says very disappointed, that is your ICP. Those are the people you need to understand deeply. What are they using your service to achieve? Why does it matter so much to them? What would break in their business or their life if you disappeared? Follow up with 4 or 5 questions, right? To get inside of their world completely. For the group that says somewhat disappointed, ask them what it would take to kind of make them very disappointed. What features or additions or improvements would tip them over the edge into genuinely relying on what you do? That feedback is how you build toward full product market fit. Now, the third approach is an experience score. You simply ask what your current clients to rate their experience with you, and then ask what would make it 1 point higher. That question alone will surface more useful product development insight than any strategy session ever will. At House of Founders, we have used this kind of ongoing client feedback to understand exactly which types of founders get the most out of what we do and which ones are not the right fit. The clearer we have gotten about that, the easier it actually has become to attract the right clients and deliver results that actually stick. Now, step 2 is radically improving your offer. Once you have the data, you build 3 versions of what you do: gold, silver, and bronze. The gold version is everything. You are going all in. For a content and brand service, this might include full short form and long form content strategy, daily content production across all platforms, a personal brand positioning session, and a custom framework built around your story, monthly performance reviews, and direct messaging support for inbound leads. So you price it to reflect the full value and you add your margin on top. Now, the bronze version is the core essentials, the 4 or 5 things that get someone from where they are to the first meaningful result. Lower investment, still healthy margin, still a complete solution for a specific type of client. Now, silver is in the middle, a few of the essentials plus a few of the elements that accelerate results and make clients feel like, they are getting the premium experience on the way up. So you will have 3 profitable price points. And here is the thing. When you achieve genuine product market fit, price objections almost disappear. People do not argue about price when they feel like the outcome is exactly what they have been looking for. So use AI to help you build these offers once the data is in. Feed it the survey results, the client feedback, the experience scores, and ask it to help you structure gold, silver, and bronze packages for your ideal client persona. Then take those packages to a designer and turn them into a proper brochure, a landing page, and a slide deck. This matters more than most founders think. 50% of the human brain is dedicated to visual processing. People need to see what they are buying. A founder will commit to a $5,000 retainer off a well-designed one-pager before they will commit to $10,000 off a verbal pitch. Make it visual. Step 3 is the 30 conversations, right? Once you have the offer built, go have 30 one-to-one conversations with people in your target market. Existing clients, right? Warm leads, referrals, people who engaged with your content. Walk them through the slide deck. Show them the gold, silver, and bronze. Ask them which one they are most excited about and which one they would commit to. What you are looking for is at least 3 people who say yes to silver or gold. 3 real commitments that is your proof of concept. Then you fast forward 90 days. You deliver the experience and you ask one question. Now that you have been through this, would you be disappointed if we took it away? If those 3 clients say absolutely yes, if they rate their experience a 9 or a 10, if they would refer someone exactly like them without hesitation, congratulations, you have achieved product market fit. Now you can go to market. Now you can scale. And now you can crank the handle knowing that what you have built actually works. So here is what gets in the way of this for most founders and creators. It is not strategy. It is not the offer. It is the emotional resistance to asking the questions. Founders feel embarrassed sending a survey. They feel like asking for feedback makes them look like they do not have it, right? It doesn't make them look like they have it figured out. Founders just automatically know who their ideal client is, successful ones, and what they want. That is not how it works, right? Without asking these questions directly, it can take 5 to 10 years to accidentally stumble onto the right combination of client and offer. The founders and creators who scale fast just ask. They run the survey. They build the brochure. They sit down with 30 people and they let the client tell them what product market fit looks like. This is not amateur, right? This is the most professional move you can make. And here is the great irony. Clients love being asked what they want. They love being shown new offers. They love being part of shaping something. It makes them feel like insiders and not just buyers, right? The hardest place to be is almost there. A business where clients are okay, not raving, not churning, just lukewarm, just good enough that you can bridge the gap with hustle and sales effort. The goal is to build something, right? So aligned with what your client actually wants that the gap does not need to be bridged because you already closed it. Once you have product market fit locked in, the next step is going to market, generating leads, booking calls, presenting your value, and making sales at scale. I made a video specifically on that and is the one to watch next. So go check it out. And if you got value from this, leave a comment below and let me know where you are in the product market fit journey. So give it a like, give it a subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.